Big change doesn't come from big moments. Big change comes from small wins that you repeat until they transform your life. Most people don't fail because they're weak. They fail because they expect too much, too soon. They wait for motivation, for the perfect day, for the huge breakthrough, and while they wait, nothing changes. The truth is, your future is built in the small things you do every day, the choices, the actions, the little wins you stack one after another. Ask yourself this: what would happen if you stopped chasing perfection and just focused on finishing one small win today? Then tomorrow? Then again the next day. Slowly, your confidence would grow. Your discipline would rebuild. You'd start trusting yourself again. That's how small wins compound and create big results. This audiobook is not about theory, it's about practice. It's about building a life you're proud of through daily wins that anyone can do. Stay with me. This can truly change everything for you. Chapter 1. Take one small action today to defeat endless overthinking. My friend, if there is one thing I've learned in all these years of working with people, it is this: the greatest enemy most of us face is not the world outside, it is the endless noise inside our own mind. You know that voice, the one that tells you to wait until tomorrow, the one that reminds you of every mistake you ever made, the one that convinces you that you are not ready, not smart enough, not disciplined enough, not strong enough. That voice is what keeps people standing still while life moves forward. That voice is the master of overthinking. And the tragedy is, overthinking steals years. But there is good news. The mind may be noisy, but it is not stronger than action. The way to defeat endless overthinking is not to argue with it, it's not to analyze it, it's not to wait until the perfect moment when it goes silent, because it never will. The way to defeat overthinking is to take one small action today. Think about it. You don't need to fix your whole life in one day. You don't need to conquer every fear at once. What you need is to prove to yourself that you are capable of moving forward right now. Not next week, not when you feel motivated, not when circumstances are perfect. Right now. One small action. Why does this work? Because action creates clarity. When you take a step, even the smallest step, the fog in your mind begins to clear. You can see what is possible. You can feel progress in your body. You experience energy instead of heaviness. It is not the size of the action that matters, it is the fact that you moved. You created momentum, you turned thought into reality. You see, most people get caught in an endless loop. They think about what they should do. Then they think about whether they're ready. Then they think about what others might think. Then they think about failing, and before they know it, the day is gone, and nothing is done. Another day, lost to overthinking, and then another, and then another. And years pass with the same dream sitting on the shelf, untouched. But you can break that cycle today, and it doesn't require brilliance, doesn't require perfection. It requires a single decision, a decision to take one small action now. What kind of action? Simple ones. If your health matters, take a 5-minute walk. Not tomorrow, not when you buy new shoes today. If your finances matter, put $5 into savings, not when you get a raise today. If your relationships matter, send one honest message to someone you care about, not when it's their birthday. Today. These are small, but here's the truth: it is the small actions that break the grip of overthinking. Overthinking feeds on delay. It grows stronger with every moment of hesitation. But action, even the smallest, starves it. The first time you take a step, your mind will protest. It will tell you it's not enough. It will tell you it won't make a difference. But when you do it anyway, you gain something powerful. You gain self-respect. You gain proof. Proof that you can move even when the voice of doubt is screaming. Proof that you are stronger than your hesitation. Proof that you can trust yourself. And when you trust yourself, everything changes. Confidence is not built by thinking positive thought. Confidence is built by action. You earn it. You earn it by doing what you said you would do. You earn it by finishing, even when it's small. You earn it by moving forward, step by step. Some people wait for confidence before they act. That is a mistake. Confidence does not come first. Action comes first. Confidence follows. Confidence is the reward for stepping into uncertainty. And it starts with one small action today. Think of how many times you've delayed because you thought the task was too big. You wanted to write a book, but the idea of hundreds of pages froze you. You wanted to get in shape, but the idea of hours in the gym paralyzed you. You wanted to learn a skill, but the thought of years of practice overwhelmed you. This is how overthinking steals your energy. It magnifies the mountain and convinces you that climbing it is impossible. But what if you just wrote one paragraph? What if you just did 10 push-ups? What if you just watched one lesson? That is how people actually change. Not by conquering the whole mountain in one leap, but by taking one step at a time. And every step weakens the power of overthinking. There is also another truth here. The brain loves completion. Every time you finish something, no matter how small, your brain rewards you. You feel lighter. You feel energized. You feel capable. And that feeling becomes addictive. That is why starting small is not weakness. It is strategy. It is the smartest way to beat the endless cycle of hesitation. Now I want you to think about your own life. Where have you been stuck in endless thought? Where do you find yourself going over the same idea again and again without ever acting on it? Be honest. Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's your work. Maybe it's a conversation you've been avoiding. Whatever it is, it's costing you energy. It's costing you confidence. It's costing you time. So here is the challenge. Pick one small action. Not tomorrow. Not later. Today. If you've been overthinking exercise, put on your shoes and walk outside. If you've been overthinking a conversation, make the call. If you've been overthinking a project, open the file and type one sentence. Just one. It doesn't matter if it's perfect. It matters that it's done. Once you do, you will notice something almost immediately. Your mind will quiet down. The endless spinning will slow. You will feel lighter, calmer, more in control. That is the power of action. It cuts through the noise. It silences the endless questions. It gives you direction. And the beauty is, you can repeat it tomorrow. And the next day. And the next. Each time you take one small action, you strengthen the muscle of discipline. You strengthen the belief that you can trust yourself. You weaken the grip of overthinking. I want you to imagine yourself a year from now. If you continue to overthink, you'll still be in the same place. Maybe worse. More frustrated. More doubtful. More stuck. But if you take one small action every day, think of where you'll be. A year of small actions is 365 steps forward. That is how small wins compound. That is how they create big results. Not because any single action is huge, but because together, they change everything. You don't need to wait. You don't need permission. You don't need to know everything. What you need is courage. Courage to do something small today. The courage to prove to yourself that you can move forward. And once you taste progress, you will want more. You will begin to crave action. You will build momentum. And that momentum will carry you through days when motivation is low.
I would love it.
That momentum will silence the doubts faster. That momentum will create results you never thought possible. So the next time you feel the weight of overthinking, remember this. You do not need to figure everything out. You do not need to wait until the noise disappears. You just need to take one small action today, and when you do, you'll find the noise loses its power. You'll find clarity where there was confusion. You'll find confidence where there was doubt. And you'll discover that the life you want is built not in giant leaps, but in small, consistent steps taken every single day. That is the truth. That is the path. And it begins not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready. It begins with one small action today. Chapter 2. Build daily proof that you are stronger than fear. Fear is one of the most powerful forces in human life. It stops people before they even begin. It convinces them that failure is permanent, that embarrassment is unbearable, that pain is not worth the growth. Fear whispers that it is safer to stay still than to risk moving forward. But fear is not meant to be obeyed. Fear is meant to be challenged, and the only way to prove you are stronger than fear is through action. Small, daily, consistent actions that remind you of your strength. When you wake up in the morning, fear may not greet you with loud words, but it shows itself in hesitation. You think about the difficult conversation you need to have, and fear suggests you wait until tomorrow. You consider applying for a new job, and fear tells you that you are not qualified. You want to take better care of your health, but fear reminds you of the times you tried and failed. That hesitation builds into patterns, and soon fear runs your life. The tragedy is that many people let it run them for decades, never realizing that the key to freedom is not to erase fear, but to prove again and again that they are stronger. How do you build that proof? By daily evidence. Confidence is not an idea. It is a record. You can tell yourself that you are strong, but if your actions do not show it, your mind will not believe it. On the other hand, if you collect daily experiences of stepping forward despite fear, your brain will begin to trust you. This is how trust in yourself grows. You don't talk yourself into strength. You prove it. Consider how a child learns to walk. They don't convince themselves with affirmations that they can do it. They stumble, they fall, they get up again. Every attempt is proof. The fear of falling does not disappear, but the evidence of progress grows stronger, and eventually walking becomes natural. The same principle applies to every area of life. You may fear speaking in front of others, but if you speak a little each day, you create a track record that says, I can do this. You may fear rejection, but if you take small risks daily, you collect proof that rejection does not destroy you. The mistake people make is waiting for fear to vanish before taking action. That will never happen. Fear shrinks only when you move forward in spite of it, and every time you do, you grow taller inside. You build the inner record that says, yes, I felt afraid, but I still acted. That record is priceless. It becomes the foundation of self-respect. Let's bring this down to something practical. Think about an area in your life where fear has stopped you. Maybe it's health, maybe it's relationships, maybe it's money, maybe it's personal growth. Now identify one action you can take daily that directly challenges that fear. Not once, not occasionally, but daily. If you fear rejection, talk to one new person each day. If you fear failure, commit to working daily on a project even if the outcome is uncertain. If you fear judgment, share one small piece of your work daily, even if it feels uncomfortable. The size of the action is not as important as its consistency. Consistency creates proof. Proof builds belief. Belief builds strength. And strength transforms fear into fuel. There's also a deeper reason why daily proof matters. The human brain remembers experiences more than theories. If you only think about courage, your brain has nothing to hold on to. But when you do something courageous, no matter how small, your brain records it. That memory becomes evident, and the more evidence you gather, the easier it becomes to face bigger fears. You create a pattern of strength. Imagine two people. One spends years thinking about what they could do if they weren't afraid. They read books, they watch videos, they make plans, but they never act. The other spends those same years doing one small thing each day to face their fear. At the end of a decade, the first person has theories, the second person has a mountain of proof, and that proof becomes unshakable confidence. This is why you must not underestimate the power of small daily victories. Fear thrives in silence and in action. It grows bigger the longer you avoid it, but when you face it daily, even in small ways, it loses power, and you gain power. Let's talk about the emotional side. Fear often comes with physical sensations. Your chest tightens, your hands sweat, your heart races. Most people interpret these signs as reasons to stop, but what if you chose to see them as signals of opportunity? Every time you feel those sensations and act anyway, you retrain your nervous system. You teach your body that fear does not control you. Over time, your body begins to relax in situations that once terrified you. That is how resilience is built. You must also understand that fear is not an enemy to be eliminated. It is a teacher. It points to areas where growth is possible. If you never felt fear, you would never stretch. The presence of fear means you are standing near something that matters. And when you face it daily, you turn fear into a guide instead of a master. Some people wait for big dramatic moments to prove their strength. They think they need to run into burning buildings or make life-changing decisions. But real strength is built in the small daily act. Waking up early when you don't feel like it. Speaking up in a meeting when your voice shakes. Going to the gym when you'd rather stay in bed. Saying no when you've always said yes out of fear. These are the quiet moments where you prove to yourself that you are stronger than fear. Over time, these moments add up. You build a library of courage. You no longer need to rely on motivation, because you have proof. You no longer need to hope you'll be strong in the future, because you already know you are. You've shown it, day after day. There is another important piece here. Self-image. Fear often thrives because people see themselves as weak, incapable, or unworthy. But self-image is not permanent. It is built by repetition. If every day you act in a way that proves your strength, your self-image shifts. You begin to see yourself as someone who is capable, resilient, and strong. That shift changes everything. Because once you see yourself as strong, you act stronger. And that action creates even more proof. It becomes a cycle of growth. Think about how empowering it feels to look back on a week and know you did something daily that scared you. Think about the pride of knowing that you didn't let fear decide for you. That pride is not arrogance, it is self-respect. And self-respect is the foundation of a meaningful life. So here is the path. Identify your fear, choose one daily action to face it, and commit to proving your strength every single day. Some days will be easy, others will be hard, but every day you follow through, you add another brick to the foundation of confidence. And here's the beautiful part. You don't need to wait years to feel the results. You will notice change almost immediately. The first time you act in the face of fear, you feel a surge of energy, you feel alive, you feel capable. That feeling is addictive, and when you repeat it the next day, it grows stronger. Before long, you will find yourself doing things that once seemed impossible. You will have conversations that once silenced you. You will take opportunities that once terrified you. You will pursue dreams that once felt too risky, not because fear is gone, but because you have built daily proof that you are stronger. This is how people transform, not in one dramatic leap, but in daily steps that build a new identity. Each step is proof. Each step is strength. Each step is freedom, and you have the power to begin today. Fear will not disappear. Doubt will not vanish. But you don't need them to. You only need to act anyway. And if you act today, and tomorrow and the next day, soon you will look back and realize something extraordinary. Fear did not stop you. Fear never had the final word. You did. Every day, you face fear. You reclaim more of your life. Every day you prove your strength. You build a future that is larger than your hesitation. And every day you act, you move closer to the person you were meant to be. So build the proof. Build it daily. Build it until it is undeniable, because the truth is simple. You are stronger than fear. And when you prove it daily, there is nothing you cannot do. Chapter 3. Replace negative self-talk by practicing one daily win. Negative self-talk is one of the quietest but most destructive habits a person can carry through life. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It creeps into your mind when you look in the mirror, when you sit down to work, when you face a challenge, when you make a mistake. It says things like, "You'll never get this right." It says, "Why even try?" It says, "You always fail." And if you let those words repeat without challenge, they begin to shape the way you see yourself. They become the story you live by. But the story can be rewritten. The mind learns through practice, not through wishes. And the most powerful way to silence negative self-talk is to practice daily wins. Not in theory, not by telling yourself you're good enough, by showing yourself with real evidence that you can achieve something each day. A daily win is not about impressing the world. It is about convincing your own mind that you are capable. Every person carries an inner scoreboard. For some, it is filled with reminders of mistakes, failures, and missed opportunities. That scoreboard becomes the proof that fuels negative self-talk. When you've collected enough losses, your brain automatically tells you that you're not built to win. But you can change the score by deliberately stacking daily wins. You start building new evidence, new memories, new reasons to believe in yourself. Each win is like a small deposit into your self-worth account. And when you practice them consistently, the balance grows until negative self-talk has nothing left to stand on. A daily win doesn't need to be extraordinary. It only needs to be intentional. It might be finishing the task you promised yourself you'd do. It might be sticking to the workout when you didn't feel like it. It might be resisting an old habit that used to control you. It might be learning something new and applying it that same day. What matters is that you decide what counts as a win for you today, and you do it. One win each day. The brain responds powerfully to completion. When you set out to do something and actually finish, you experience a surge of energy. You feel capable. You feel in control. That experience is recorded in your memory. And tomorrow, when the negative voice tries to tell you you're worthless, you have proof to answer back. You don't need to fight the voice with arguments. You silence it with evidence. I finished yesterday. I won yesterday. I kept my word yesterday. This process works because the brain believes action more than words. You can repeat affirmations in the mirror, but if your actions contradict them, your mind will not accept them. On the other hand, if you consistently create small wins, your brain builds a new story, and that story replaces the old one naturally. You stop needing to argue with yourself because the wins speak louder. The shift begins in subtle ways. At first you may still hear the negative voice. It may still tell you that you are not enough. But after you string together a few daily wins, you begin to notice a difference. The views feels weaker. The words don't cut as deep. You start to say, yes, but I did what I said I'd do today. And that realization is liberating. You no longer feel like a victim of your own mind. You begin to feel like a creator of your own confidence. Negative self-talk thrives on unkept promises. Every time you tell yourself you'll do something and don't, you reinforce the belief that you can't trust yourself. That belief becomes the fuel for the inner critic. But when you do the opposite, when you follow through on a small commitment each day, you slowly rebuild trust. And once trust grows, the negative voice fades. Because you have proof that you follow through. Proof that you can be counted on. Think about how different your day feels when you end it with the satisfaction of a win. Instead of lying in bed replaying regrets, you lie in bed remembering that you took a step forward. That memory changes your mood, your energy, and your outlook for the next day. Now multiply that by weeks and months. You are no longer the same person. You are no longer weighed down by failure. You are carried forward by proof of progress. Fear and doubt will always exist, but their influence depends on how much proof you've built against them. If you live without daily wins, they sound convincing. If you practice wins daily, they lose their grip. The difference between a person who believes in themselves and one who doesn't is not talent or luck. It is the track record they've built. Now it's important to be clear. A daily win is not about chasing perfection. It is not about never making mistakes. It is about stacking undeniable proof that you are capable of moving forward. Some days the win may be small. Some days it may feel almost trivial. But remember, the purpose is not to impress anyone else. The purpose is to train your own mind. The purpose is to feed yourself evidence that drowns out the critic. Here's an example. Imagine someone who constantly tells themselves they are lazy. That phrase becomes their identity. But if that person decides, every day for 30 days, to complete one task, no matter how small, they start changing the evidence. Each completed task is a brick in a new identity. After a month, when the inner voice tries to say, "You're lazy," there is a stack of 30 wins to challenge it. That stack speaks louder than any thought. The same applies to someone who says, "I can never finish what I start." Negative self-talk thrives on repetition of failures. But what if that person completes something small each day? Over time, the self-image shifts. They begin to see themselves as someone who finishes. They create a new truth. And this new truth doesn't just stay in the mind. It spills into actions, relationships, and opportunity. When you believe you can win daily, you carry yourself differently. You walk with more confidence. You speak with more certainty. You take risks you once avoided. You treat yourself with more respect. And others begin to see you differently. Because you see yourself differently. The practice of daily wins also builds momentum. At first you may need to push yourself to create one win. But soon, the feeling becomes addictive. The satisfaction of progress makes you want more. One win turns into two. Two turn into three. And suddenly, you are stacking victories faster than negative self-talk can keep up. This is not theory. It is a discipline. You must be deliberate. Every morning decide what your win for the day will be. Don't leave it to chance. Choose it. Commit to it. Complete it. Then reflect on it. Write it down. Celebrate it. Let your brain absorb it as evidence. And then repeat tomorrow. In time, you will notice that your inner voice changes. Instead of defaulting to negativity, it begins to echo your wins. It starts to say things like, "You can handle this, you've proven it before." It starts to remind you of your track record instead of your failures. That is when you know the rewiring has begun. That is when you realize that negative self-talk no longer runs your life. The change won't happen overnight. Years of negative patterns will not vanish in a week, but every win is progress. Every win is a strike against the old story. Every win is proof that you are building a new narrative, and the longer you stay consistent, the stronger that narrative becomes. There's also a psychological principle at play here. The human brain does not like conflicting evidence. If you keep proving daily that you can win, the negative self-talk will begin to feel out of place. It will no longer match the reality of your actions. And when the brain faces a conflict, it adapts. It updates the story to match the evidence. This is how daily wins reprogram the mind. The most important thing is not to wait for motivation. Motivation comes and goes. If you rely on it, you'll give negative self-talk room to grow. What you need is a system of daily wins that operate whether you feel motivated or not. Once the system is in place, the wins happen, and the wins build confidence, and the confidence silences the critic. And when you look back months or years from now, you will see something remarkable. The voice that once told you, "You can't," will be almost silent. In its place will be a quieter, stronger voice that says, "You can." And it won't just be words. It will be backed by hundreds of wins. You will know it's true because you've lived it. So the task is clear. Replace negative self-talk by practicing one daily win. Not tomorrow. Today. Decide what the win will be. Do it. Record it. Repeat it. Build the track record that changes everything. Because once you prove to yourself daily that you can win, no negative voice can take that away from you. Chapter 4. Train your brain to enjoy progress instead of perfection. Perfection is a trap that has stolen more dreams than failure ever has. It sounds noble when you hear it, doing things perfectly, waiting for the perfect time, wanting the perfect result. But beneath that noble disguise, perfection is a prison. It keeps you stuck at the starting line because nothing feels good enough to begin. It keeps you locked in endless editing because nothing feels good enough to finish. And while you chase flawless results that never come, life quietly slips by. That's why the smartest thing you can do for your growth, your confidence, and your future is to train your brain to enjoy progress instead of perfection. Progress is movement, it is energy, it is life itself. Progress is finishing something that yesterday you only thought about. Progress is doing one more repetition, writing one more page, having one more meaningful conversation. Progress is not about arriving at a flawless finish line, it's about proving to yourself that you're moving forward. And the truth is, forward movement is where all fulfillment lives. Most people misunderstand success. They think happiness comes from getting everything right. They think respect comes from achieving an ideal image. They think love and recognition will come only when they've ironed out every weakness. But that is not how human psychology works. People respect effort, consistency, and growth. People admire courage, resilience, and discipline, and you cannot experience any of those without progress. Perfection demands you hide. Progress invites you to try. When you decide to value progress over perfection, your brain experiences a powerful shift. Suddenly, the small wins count. Suddenly, showing up matters more than flawless execution. Suddenly, mistakes are not the end of the world, but evidence that you are in motion. And the more you train yourself to celebrate those steps, the more motivated you become to keep taking them. Motivation is not born out of flawless moments, it is born out of visible growth. Think about how the brain works. It loves rewards. It loves signals that say you're moving forward. Every time you acknowledge progress, even when it's small, your brain releases energy and reinforces the behavior. That's how habits are built. But if you wait until something is perfect before you celebrate, your brain starves. You've trained it to believe that nothing counts unless it's flawless. And when nothing counts, you lose energy, you lose momentum, and you eventually quit. So the real training is not about eliminating mistakes. The real training is teaching your brain to recognize movement as success. Did you take a step today? That's success. Did you complete something you avoided yesterday? That's success. Did you improve slightly compared to last week? That's success. This way of thinking creates momentum, and momentum compounds into transformation. Now, some people resist this. They say, but if I don't demand perfection, I'll become lazy. I'll lower my standards. That's not true. Valuing progress doesn't mean you give up on excellence. It means you stop holding excellence hostage to impossible standards. Excellence comes from thousands of small improvements stacked on each other, not one flawless moment. The pianist who plays beautifully didn't arrive there by being perfect from the start. They arrived there by practicing progress every day. The same goes for every master in every field. Progress built their greatness, not perfection. You may wonder why perfection has such a grip on people. The answer is fear. Perfection is often just fear wearing a disguise, fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of embarrassment. So instead of moving, people tell themselves they are not ready yet, or still working on it. But the truth is, they are afraid. The way to escape that trap is to remind yourself daily that growth is more valuable than flawlessness. The danger of perfection is not only that it paralyzes, it also blinds you to your progress. Imagine someone who loses 30 pounds, but criticizes themselves for not having six-pack abs. They miss the victory because they're stuck chasing an unrealistic finish line. Or someone who earns a promotion, but dismisses it because they're not the CEO yet. They rob themselves of joy by comparing themselves to an ideal. That's the cruelty of perfection. It makes victories invisible. But if you train your brain to enjoy progress, every step becomes fuel. You begin to notice the small changes, the extra energy in your body, the extra discipline in your day, the extra confidence in your voice. You stop waiting for a final destination to celebrate. You live with gratitude for the journey. That shift creates resilience, because even on hard days, you can see that you're still moving forward. And that resilience keeps you going long after perfectionists have quit. Training your brain for progress takes deliberate practice. It doesn't happen naturally. By default, the brain tends to criticize more than celebrate. That's why you must create rituals. At the end of each day, reflect on what you accomplished, no matter how small. Write it down. Say it out loud. Allow yourself to feel satisfaction. When you do this repeatedly, your brain begins to expect progress as a reward. You rewire your mind to search for wins instead of flaws. Another practice is to set goals in terms of progress, not outcome. Instead of saying, I will write the perfect chapter, say, I will write for 30 minutes today. Instead of saying, I will have the perfect workout, say, I will complete my workout today. When you frame your goals around progress, you create targets you can actually hit, and every time you hit them, you reinforce your confidence. You will also need to change the way you talk to yourself. Instead of saying, that wasn't good enough, ask, did I move forward today? Instead of saying, I made mistakes, say, I'm learning. This shift may feel small, but over time it completely reshapes the way you see yourself. Because identity is built, not by chasing perfection, but by recognizing consistent growth. Let's talk about how this affects relationships. When you demand perfection from yourself, you often demand it from others. That leads to constant disappointment, frustration, and criticism. But when you value progress, you become more patient and compassionate. You see effort. You acknowledge growth. You encourage instead of condemn. And that makes your relationship stronger and healthier. In your career, the same principle applies. People who chase perfection often delay projects, avoid risks, and stay stuck in planning. They become known for hesitation. But those who value progress are the ones who actually move things forward. They complete projects, learn from mistakes, adjust, and grow. These are the people who get noticed. These are the people who lead. And let's not forget the personal sense of fulfillment. A life spent chasing perfection is full of frustration and regret. A life spent enjoying progress is full of gratitude and pride. Because no matter where you are, you can always say, "I'm further than I was yesterday." That simple truth builds happiness. So how do you begin? Start by noticing progress in real time. When you take an action, don't dismiss it because it wasn't flawless. Pause and recognize it. When you improve even slightly, don't ignore it because it's not dramatic. Mark it down. Build the habit of noticing movement. That awareness is the first step to training your brain. Then create systems that measure progress. Use a notebook, an app, or even a calendar to track daily actions. Each checkmark is proof. Over time, those checkmarks build a visual record of growth. That record becomes motivation on hard days when you feel like you're not moving fast enough. You can look back and see, in black and white, the evidence of your progress. Finally, surround yourself with people who also value progress. Perfectionists will drag you back into criticism, but people who value progress will encourage you, remind you of your wins, and keep you moving forward. Environment matters because it reinforces the mindset you are trying to build. In the end, perfection is an illusion. Nobody reaches it. The people who appear perfect are simply those who have practiced progress long enough for it to look effortless. If you want to create big results in your life, stop waiting for flawless moments and start stacking small improvements. Train your brain to notice them, to celebrate them, to crave them. Because when you learn to enjoy progress, life becomes lighter, work becomes easier, growth becomes natural. You stop being paralyzed by fear of mistakes and start being energized by the next step forward. And if you keep stepping forward day after day, the results will take care of themselves. So make the decision. Today, measure progress, celebrate progress, train your brain to enjoy it, because the truth is, progress is the path. And if you walk that path daily, perfection will no longer control you. You'll be free to grow, free to try, free to live. And in that freedom, you will discover just how much you are capable of becoming. Chapter 5. Push through resistance by finishing one uncomfortable task today. Every person alive feels the weight of resistance. It is that quiet but heavy barrier between what you know you should do and what you actually do. It's the delay before making the phone call you've been avoiding. It's the urge to check your phone instead of finishing the project. It's the sudden thought of cleaning the kitchen when you sit down to write. Resistance does not scream at you, it whispers. And the longer you listen, the heavier it becomes. The way to break its hold is not to wait until you feel like doing the hard thing. The way to beat resistance is to choose one uncomfortable task and finish it today. You've noticed this before. There's a task on your mind that lingers. It's not huge, but it makes you uneasy. It carries some fear, or some effort, or some discomfort. And because it's uncomfortable, you keep pushing it off. But as you delay, the weight doesn't disappear. It grows. That task takes up space in your thoughts all day. It drains energy you could use for other things. It becomes a shadow that follows you everywhere. That is the hidden cost of resistance. It steals your peace. But when you face the task head-on, something remarkable happens. The moment you begin, the heaviness begins to shrink. The dread dissolves. And when you finish, you feel relief, clarity and strength. That feeling is not just emotional, it is evidence. Evidence that you can act even when it's hard. Evidence that you can trust yourself to follow through.